But the other part of this question, I think that's tough, is how is it shaped your approach to leadership? Is that kind of
Yeah.
how we phrase that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. When I think of, again, my journey, my personal story, all of that homeschooled camp ministry, church stuff, um, I think I've learned a few lessons over the years. And one of them is to slow down, because for me, not only did I go through these different, I would call them small journeys. Like, hey, I was homeschooled, and then all of a sudden I was homeschooled, but yet I had a full-time job. And then I went from having a full-time job being homeschooled to having a full-time career in building construction and getting married. I got married young. I was 20 years old when I got married. So that's another part of the journey I haven't even talked about yet.
Yep.
Everything was fast-paced. All the programs at camp, boom, 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 one week after another week. You got two or three different teen weeks. Then you have the blind crew come in. Then you have, the family weekends. And you have, so it was really fast-paced. And then church was the same way. We had a program every other night. I was here for Wednesday night kids program. I would help babysit kids on Thursday evenings, and we were here again twice on Sundays. Everything was quick. And this didn't really click to me personally until years later when I was actually here at this church. And a few years ago, Foad, our teaching elder,
Yep.
he made this comment of something he heard, and it's just a simple little comment of somebody saying to somebody else who was living a rushed lifestyle, like always something to do, always something on the schedule.
Yeah.
He said, you're living a NASCAR life trying to follow a savior who walked everywhere. You're living a NASCAR life trying to follow a savior who walked everywhere. And that, for me, I had to learn that lesson 2 or 3 times over the years, but I think it finally solidified in the last few years of just being able to say, leadership happens in the moment. I'm a big thinker. I'm like, let's just get to the end of the plan here. I know it's like a 3-year plan. I don't care. I just want to get to the goal. And by doing that, I think in retrospect, probably missed opportunities like this,
Yeah.
just to connect with someone,
Yeah.
And to really slow down.
Well,
And-
Foad, our pastor, our teaching elder, uses the African proverb often. Many of you have probably heard, if you want to go fast, go alone.
Mhm.
If you want to go slow,
Yeah.
if you want to go far, you go together,
And-
which is a slow down mentality.
Oh, it is. But that's part of what, I learned, and part of what we teach here. If one of the things that we're supposed to be as leaders is a resource for other people,
Yeah,
you
indeed.
can't do that when you move too fast.
No.
And so for me, I had to realize this isn't about like just getting programs on the calendar. It's not about just filling the building with people, or, this is really about influencing other people,
Yeah.
right? Or adding value to them and to their journey and to their story. I can't be a resource if I'm moving too quick.
Yeah,
So-
it's almost like it's not about my agenda, it's about the agenda and helping us get there rather than, and I struggle with that as well, just
absolutely.
at times, wanting to just push through.
Yeah, you're kind of a 30,000 foot view guy.
I
You can
am.
see the destination.
That's my default mindset, is looking at things 30,000 feet, and I've already seen the 6 steps we're going to need to get through there, and waiting for everybody to catch along and say,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
You're on step 6, they're on step 2,
yeah,
like in their minds.
those are indeed the steps we need, and we can't get around them, kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got to slow down enough to be a resource. And what that really takes for me, and one thing I've mentioned on the podcast before, you and I have talked about this a lot. One of the ways I've learned to do this is through, watching my dad. And my dad taught me balance. That was huge for me to learn that lesson. Everything in life, you have to balance. And for me, in what I do now, looking back to, through my journey and how I've learned how to balance things, has allowed me to slow down and be a resource. So I think, that's super, super important. And luckily I get to work, with a church and with a group of people who practice, things like rest and things like, hey, your family comes first. And, if you need to take a day, you need to take a day or whatever. So that also allows me to balance things. So I would say, for me, to answer that question as simply as I can, how has your experience or journey shaped who you are and your approach to leadership? I think I've learned to slow down, to be a resource, and to balance. And that's
Those are the
kinda
big
how-
areas.
yeah.